Hello and welcome back to YachtBuyer 360. We're actually out on the water today, though it is a bit of a pea super in the saloon. However, we are on the brand new Princess F58, and although we filmed a tour at Dusseldorf and that's already on the other channel, we're going to do the 360 treatment for this boat as well. So for those of you who want to look at it in really fine detail, I will walk you through the boat and you can move the screen around. If you're on a computer, use the mouse. If you're on a tablet, you can tilt it or use your finger. On TV, you can use your control, but you are in control. I will walk you through and you can move the camera angle to look at whatever you want. So let's get going, shall we? Right, we're going to start back here at the transom because Princess has actually had some fun with that on this boat. There are two things. The first is this drops down to create a little beach club. Now there is a cushion that goes on there, and this cassette here, which has got the shore power cables on it, is actually designed for a sea bob. So you can slide the sea bob out on that cassette, put it in the water, put it back in there. You can see there's a plug up there as well, so you can charge it. So a mini beach club of sorts. And then above that, as an option, you can have a grill in here. Obviously this is just storage on this particular boat, but you can make this into a wet bar. It has got another plug socket in it in this guise, but you can add some more kit to that to make it, you know, more of a place where you can serve your guests. And it's actually quite a good position for that because obviously it connects very well to the cockpit, but it means you don't have a wet bar in the cockpit, so it isn't gobbling up space there. So I think that's quite a good bit of design, something we've seen before from other brands, but they've integrated it quite nicely. I think this is quite a nice looking transom. Should also mention we have a hydraulic bathing platform, so this is where you can keep your tender. You can launch it off here. Obviously it drops into the water, comes out again, so you can launch and recover your tender from here. No tender garage on this model, but yeah, this is how you would do that on this boat. And then we have equal access up into the cockpit. The crew cabin is actually underneath my feet. I'm going to come back and have a look at that before we head inside. And that's the cockpit arrangement for you. So as you'd expect, nice dining table here. They've gone for a very traditional arrangement. They haven't gone for the opposing seats like we're seeing from some other brands, but you've got a nice wrap of seating, the table in the middle, that obviously opens up to double in size if you want to dine there, and you have this top opening window as well, which just helps connect it to the galley a little bit better. I'm going to talk more about the interior layout as we head inside. A couple of other points to mention in this cockpit: you've got boarding gates on both sides, so if you're at a high key side you can use those to get on and off the boat. Obviously the Flybridge steps, we're going to head up there in a second. And then here is an option on the starboard side. You've got a third control station. This boat has actually got a joystick fitted. We'll see that at the other helms, but you don't get a joystick here. I think there's just not space for it, so you've got a pair of throttles and thruster controls, so you can control the boat from back here, which is especially helpful if you are mooring stern to. And it tucks away. Well, let's carry on the main deck. Symmetrical side decks, nice tall tow rails, and just about walk with your feet side by side. A little bit narrow, but it feels perfectly safe, and there's plenty to grab onto as well. Railings overhead, obviously pretty tall guardrails as well. And then we arrive on the foredeck, which is a really rather nice living area. It's completely flat up here, no steps, no table, but it means you can walk across really easily, and you've got quite a familiar layout now these days. The sofa underneath the windscreen, and then the sun pads. But these are quite clever because they've got pop-up backrests, so they pop up and face forward. As so. You can do that on both sides, but you also have the reverse, so you can put these sections up and face looking into the boat if you want to. Right forward, twin anchor locker. You can see we're on anchor at the moment, but you've got your split anchor locker there. And actually this is quite a nice opportunity to just have a look back over the boat. I'll put the camera up a bit so you can have a slightly better look around. Yeah, it's a real misty day here in the saloon. So you have a little peek at the Flybridge there. Let's continue round down the port side deck. Worth noting that there is storage as well on both sides. Probably won't get fenders in there, but quite handy for deck lines, covers for this area as well. They can all be stowed away in there. As I said, you've got them on both sides as well. There's one step on these side decks, so yeah, they really are pretty easy to navigate if you're crewing. and we'll stay on deck and head up to the Flybridge, which is big for a 60-footer. And something new they've brought in is the position of the wet bar. No longer behind the helm seat, though there is a cooler there on this boat. The wet bar is now very nicely integrated into this aft end here. So next to the seating, clear of the hard top so all the smells can disappear. You've got a bit of storage on this side. That's a pull-out fridge. And you've also got a grill. So everything you need here to serve your guests up on this deck. And I like the way it just sits in that corner. Very neatly tucked into the design. Seating on the starboard side, obviously, with enough space this side of the table that you can put some director's chairs so you can have a couple more people, maybe even 3 actually, this side when you're dining. All protected by a hard top, which is a cost option, but one that I imagine will be pretty popular. And it also has a canvas sunroof, so those open really wide. You get a really nice wide aperture when you open that up. So on a day sunnier than this one, you will actually get some sunshine on the deck. As I mentioned, cool box here, so you've got a bit of extra cooling space in there. And then on the starboard side, adjacent to the helm, more seating, which works well if you're at rest like you are now and you want to socialise, but also a good extra spot for people to come and join the party when the boat's moving along. Because you've only got 2 helm seats, nice helm seats though they are. There's only 2 of them. But don't they look smart? Nice armrests as well. And a really nice dash arrangement. What I particularly like about the way they've done this is how upright the moulding is that the MFDs are on. So those 3 screens there, a lot of the time in these dash designs they'll be lying a bit more flat, so A, they're harder to see, and B, they're harder to reach. Whereas Princess have put those in really good view and really good reach. And you can split those really well. So you can see we've got radar, charting, you've got your engine dials in the middle, just all the information you could possibly want, really clearly presented. The dash is a little bit bitty in terms of controls. You've got the Lumar screen, you've got your remote control for the MFDs, obviously you've got your smaller Raymarine screen for the autopilot. Everything just looks a bit different, but lots of different controls here, and one of those is the joystick. So this boat has got the optional Aventix joystick with the MAN engines. It's got twin MAN V8 1200s, top speed of about 35 knots. There is a sea trial of the boat on the main channel. I'll put a link to that in the description to this video, so if you want to see it out in the water, head over and watch that. I want to know more about the performance. In this video though, we are going to head back downstairs, and before we go into the interior, I'll just cover the crew cabin. Which is accessed this way, so we can pull this gate across. Pins into place, and then, however, I want to show you where it is, just so I've given you the location. But it's absolutely full. We've got a load of kit in here, the skipper's on board, we're stowing stuff away for the shoot, so if you want to see the crew cabin, head over to the other channel where we've toured it, because it was clear at Dusseldorf and we could properly get the camera down there, but I just want to show you the location. So that's your access. Before we take on the interior, I'm just going to show you the engine room. The hatch is here in the cockpit. It's a nice big hatch actually. Lift that up.
We could drop that inside.
Right, the engine fans are on, so apologies if it's a little bit noisy, but this is the engine space. As I said, a pair of V8 1200 MANs. Space in between is pretty good. If you flip the screen around on your computer or your device, you'll be able to see me. You can see how much headroom there is. I'm 6 foot tall and I'm stooping in here. It's not terrible, but yeah, you can't fully stand up if you're 6 feet. But yeah, easy enough to walk between the engines. And they've actually separated off the ancillaries in a separate section towards the aft end. So you can see the Seakeeper 18. A Seakeeper is a cost option. The 18 is an option on top of that. This owner has gone really belt and braces, so that should do a really good job of eliminating any roll. And then you can see you've got the generator down there as well. But nice, it's separated from the engine space, so you can work on those in relative comfort. Plenty of space to move around down there. And yeah, very easy access as well. This nice central ladder drops you down between everything. And often these boats will run with the owner, so it's very important that you can look after it well. And although it feels a bit busy, Certainly the engineering looks good, and it's pretty easy to do your daily checks anyway. Right, let's head inside.
Right, let's head inside. The difference between this and the F55, which ultimately this model is going to replace, is that the dinette is opposite the galley. Still got the aft galley arrangement, so you're in good contact with the cockpit, and that window that I mentioned earlier comes into that because it creates a bit of a bar area between the two spaces. Those sliding doors go one over again, so they open up a bit more to really open up this area. But yes, now the galley is opposite the dinette, which makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because if you're serving food and you're eating inside, everything's just a little bit closer, and it also becomes an extension of the galley. You've got some extra worktop opposite, although, you know, workspace is pretty good. There's countertop on the return underneath the bar. We've got your bins as well. Obviously you've got space for domestic size fridge freezer too, and there's a reasonable amount of countertop around the sink, and the usual things you'd expect now of a Princess, certainly this size. Induction cooking, dishwasher is an option, and nice that you've got a big window here as well, so even if you're standing at the hob, you've got a good view out. And having that table aft rather than amidships means up here you have a lot of lounging space. Really nice big sofa to stretch out on, and it makes the most of the windows. The windows are big, so you get great views out and plenty of natural light on what is clearly a very dull day. Now this is a nice spot. This chair that I'm looking at on the starboard side here is actually an option. You just have the unit there if you don't have it, but that is a must-have for me. I love that spot, sitting in there. In fact, I'll do it. I'll just give you time to spin the camera around, but that is just such a great view. Sitting in this chair, looking out over the water. Really, really nice spot. You know, it's quite plain in here. I think that the colour of some owners' amenities, you know, throws, scatter cushions, that sort of thing, will really help it out because it's all a very similar tone. It's very clean, it's very inoffensive, but it's not particularly exciting. Though the quality does feel excellent, as we come to expect. The TV is in that unit as well, so the same unit that the chair is in. You have the television, a bit of extra cooling space too. You've got a fridge or ice maker down there. Obviously most of your domestic appliances are in the galley, and now I'm looking aft, so you can turn the camera that way. You can just see how well this area connects down to the cockpit. A couple of steps up here to make room for the cabin below, but the head goes up as well, the headroom. So yeah, it feels plenty spacious in this area. Now the lower helm, a new design. In terms of screens, very similar to upstairs. So you've got the Ray Marine MFDs on either side, and then the central screen with engine information. But they've got that new dash design there, where you have almost the hovering section, which I think looks quite smart. Shiny plastics, you know, they offer some glare, and they'll probably scratch a little too easily. And like upstairs, you know, there's a real mix of controls there, but everything's within easy reach, and you've obviously got repeaters for the throttles and the joystick down here as well. So joystick control upstairs and downstairs, and that's a joystick that combines the props and also the thrusters. So maybe you want to move the boat with your twisting or pushing, the system will determine what you need to make that happen, and either use the props or use the thrusters. But clever system, and those shaft drive joysticks have come on a very long way since they were first on the market. Right, so that's the helm station. Last thing to do is head downstairs and take a look at the accommodation. Heading downstairs, what I like about this little hallway is that it brings in light from above. It's open to the windscreen, so you get some nice natural light coming down here. Now on the lower deck, it's a 3-cabin arrangement. There's a double VIP forward. On the starboard side, there's a twin, and then amidships is where you find the owner's cabin, and there's a day head as well. So I think let's start right forward, and then we'll head amidships from there. Right forward being the VIP. And we're on the anchor at the moment, so you may well pick a bit of the hull slap up on the microphone. You know, the waves running against the hull, something you get more in the forward cabin than you do amidships, hence why it's nice for the owner's cabin to be back there. This is a nice cabin, well finished, nice sort of use of underlighting here, so you haven't got the bright spotlights on at night if you don't want them. There's no overhead hatch, but you have got an escape hatch if you need to get out in an emergency. In terms of storage, it's pretty good as well. You've got eye-level lockers either side over the portholes. In fact, they're windows and portholes, so you have natural light plus natural air if you want it. There's a nice big wardrobe over on the starboard side, and you've also got a TV, good sized TV, mounted up on the bulkhead there. Storage under the bed as well, a couple of drawers under the bed, good for shoes and bags and things like that. And they've put this mirror up here so you can perch on the edge of the bed. I shall do it now. I'll perch on the edge of the bed and you can use this area to do makeup, get ready before you go out. And then this cabin connects directly to the day head to make it an ensuite. So there's a day head door there for guests to use during the day, but in the evening this cabin has direct access. And this boat's just been delivered, so you can see there's some tape on the bits and bobs around the sink there to hold it in place, and it's still going through a bit of snagging, so you might see blue tape here and there in the interior, but it's pretty much there apart from that. This is hull number 1, the exact same boat that we toured on the other channel at Dusseldorf. And there's the day head. That's a good size, isn't it? Nice amount of floor space in there, separate shower cubicle, and a reasonable amount of storage underneath the sink too. Headroom's good. Headroom throughout this interior, certainly in the forward section, is over 6 feet, comfortably over 6 feet, so it feels nice and easy to move around. And of course you've got independent climate control in each cabin as well, so guests can set the cabin to whatever temperature they like. On the starboard side then we find the twin. Another nice cabin. As I said, you can see the floor drops down plus the ceiling goes up, so headroom once you're between the beds is really good. And this has got the sliding berths, so I can push a button over here on the wall and you can see the berths are sliding together. Just makes this a little bit more flexible. If you've got people in here who aren't a couple, they can have singles, but then a couple can make it into a double. And it's very easy. You need 2 sets of sheets, of course, but it does give you that little bit of flexibility. And nice that it slides across and it still reveals a bedside table. So however you have this, you've got a bit of bedside table. And there's repeater lights up by the bed as well, or repeater light switches I should say, so you can deal with lighting from bed rather than having to get out every time. Again, storage is pretty good because there's more eye level lockers here. These are just like the ones in the VIP. And this has got a nice big bit of hull window as well, so you get light in here, you can see the view out. The camera adjusts. Sun's coming out a bit now. But yeah, good view out of there from bed. And then a nice big hanging locker as well, which auto illuminates. A mirror on the back of there as well. It's amazing how many times you don't find full length mirrors on boats, and you need them, don't you? Make sure you're looking good before you head out for dinner. And then behind the door. This cabin also has a TV, so they're well equipped, these guest cabins. Heading further amidships, you have the door into the day head, so that's in the lobby. And then before you get to the owner's cabin, you have the stacked washer and dryer between all the cabins, so everyone can use them. Quite nice on a boat of this size to have separate as well. Often you have combi washer dryers, which often aren't great at drying in my experience, but you've got a proper dryer there, which is useful, as is the little laundry cupboard as well. That's a really good place to have all your detergents, things like that, everything to do with cleaning. You've got space for in there, which is handy. And then right amidships we come to the full beam owner's cabin. Really lovely space this, and the big difference here between this and the F55 is that on the F55 you walked into the cabin and the bathroom was alongside the cabin on the port side. Now the bathroom is behind the bed, so that's really nice that the bathroom runs across the beam of the boat behind the bed. Also acts as a little bit of separation between the bed and the engine room, which is just the other side of this bulkhead. The toilet is behind the door. Yeah, nice space, separate shower cubicle, the works. And then on the other side, because you'll have noticed it doesn't stretch the full beam, that's because you've got a really nice almost walk-in closet here. So lovely big mirror to check your outfit, and then you've got wardrobes on both sides, on that side, and then double wardrobe on the other side. So storage is excellent, and actually storage is, really good in the cabin as well. You've got this bureau here, which is all storage effectively, and then on the other side you've got the settee. I suspect you could have even more storage there if you want more storage, but I like the settee. And again, TV, air conditioning, all bespoke for this cabin. And I'll just sit here because I think this is great, because they drop the windows down so low. You can sit in this sofa of a morning. Maybe you've made a coffee up in the galley and you just want a little bit more peace and quiet. Retire to your cabin, sit in this sofa, read the news and have a coffee. That would be pretty nice with the water lapping away. I've just spotted as well, they've got a repeater for the Raymarine screen here, so the owner, I should say, can keep an eye on things from the master cabin, which is nice. So if you're an anchor, you can keep an eye on boat movement, set the anchor radius, set the anchor alarm, you know exactly where you are, and you don't have to be dashing up to the helm. Good feature. Well, there you have it. That is the 360 tour of the Princess F58. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please give the video a like if you have. And remember, the full sea trial is on the main channel. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And I'll also put a link to our written review, so you can read the review in detail. You can also compare the F58 to its closest rivals on yachtbuyer.com. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jack Haines. This is YachtBuyer 360.